My sister's pregnant, and the baby has a diagnosed condition called bird head syndrome. As her doctor, I recommended she have an abortion. After the procedure, she cried to her husband, saying, "My sister killed our baby." He looked almost exactly like me, with a face perfect for an actor. The same day I found out I was pregnant too. My brother-in-law, furious, pushed me down the stairs. As I lay dying, my sister yelled that I had tripped, and was busy covering for him instead of calling for help. Both of us died. Then I woke up again on the day of my sister's ultrasound. Seeing her teary eyes asking for advice, I gave a smile. "Why are you asking me? Ask your husband." Carrie was stunned by my answer. "But you're the doctor, Felix is not," she said. Inside I smirked coldly. "Oh, so now you remember I'm the doctor and your husband's not?" In my last life, I had already warned Carrie that bird head syndrome had a high chance of being inherited even before she tried to conceive. She had gone ahead anyway, and came to me later in a panic asking why she'd gotten pregnant despite taking precautions. Am I just super fertile? Sister, I'm already pregnant. I'm willing to take the risk. You'll help me, right? Once she made up her mind, there was little I could do except remind her to keep up with her checkups and monitor the baby's growth. Unfortunately, things didn't look good. Carrie's amniocentesis report showed a large homozygous region on chromosome 8. The ultrasound clearly showed the fetus's features were almost identical to the mother's. But Carrie was thrilled. She held onto my hand, going on and on. "Sis, he looks just like me. He's like a mini-me. We both have this unique bird-like charm. Do you think he might become an actor and make a lot of money?" After several seconds of speechlessness, I explained to her that the child had facial deformities and probably other developmental issues. I even pleaded with every possible contact to get a geneticist professor involved. The professor recommended Carrie and Felix undergo whole exome sequencing for definitive answers about the fetus's condition. However, Felix, livid, pointed at the professor and lashed out, tests, and more tests. Non-invasive ones are over $2,000, amniocentesis $8,000, and now you're suggesting something over $10,000? You doctors must earn kickbacks from expensive tests, huh? Like vampires. The professor was really agitated. Yet Felix stormed off with Carrie. The next day, she tearfully came back to me. With a sigh, I said, "Bring your husband, let's do the whole exome sequencing. Otherwise, it's gotta be termination." But the baby's 6 months old and can move. I can't let go. Despite wanting to urge her further, I maintained a professional stance, objectively reiterating the fetus's current condition. Eventually, Carrie agreed amidst tears to have an abortion. I didn't see coming the disaster that decision would bring. Though Carrie had agreed to the abortion, she regretted it post-surgery. She went home crying to her husband, "My sister killed our baby. He looked just like me. Maybe he could have been an actor." Felix couldn't contain himself. While my husband was on a business trip, Felix forced his way into my house intoxicated, demanding answers. "Why did you kill my child?" Being Carrie's primary care doctor, and also performing the abortion, though acting purely out of professional concern, they blamed me. Felix wrecked my house. I tried to protect my then barely showing pregnancy, and sneaked outside to call the cops. But he noticed, looking at me with overwhelming hatred. "You're pregnant? Why did my child have to die while you're having one? How could a heartless woman like you be a mother?" Like a crazed bull, Felix charged. I tried to fight back, but my calf cramped suddenly. In that brief moment of weakness, he shoved me hard. I fell down the stairs. Blood spread from my thigh. Pain seared through my abdomen. I almost heard a baby crying near me. As consciousness faded, I saw Carrie arriving, crying out, "Sis, how careless of you to fall." At the brink of life and death, her first priority wasn't saving me, but giving Felix an alibi. With life slipping away, my last thought was, if I had another chance, I'd steer clear of their mess. They do what they want but leave me out of it. Unbelievably, fate gave me that chance. Now, history seems to repeat itself, but when Carrie discussed things with Felix after getting the ultrasound, he again made that brainless statement. "Back in my mom's time, no one got ultrasound, but we turned out fine. How can they predict anything from scans? I bet those machines damaged the baby." My neighbor said hospitals exaggerate conditions to make you spend on expensive tests. Don't trust them. Told this by my mother, I nearly burst out laughing. Carrie used to boast about Felix being a college graduate, trying to elevate him to my level. But who with a degree would spout such nonsense? Besides, I graduated from a top-tier university, not some sketchy community college like Felix. The next day I took the day off to avoid Carrie's follow-up visit. I later heard from a colleague that Felix accompanied her to their appointment, still managing to cause chaos. What do you mean? My wife and I are perfectly fine. Then how can our child have facial deformities, low intelligence, slow growth? Hearing Felix talk like that, Carrie got a bit upset too. The baby's just got a unique look. It's a natural actor's face. How dare you call it a facial deformity? The expert, sounding just as frustrated as I once was, tried to advise them. Even if we overlook the bird-like symptoms, your baby's other developmental indicators are delayed compared to other babies of the same age. That's already a sign of something wrong. Felix didn't seem concerned. He's just a bit small, right? We'll feed him up back home. Carrie nodded in agreement with Felix. Abnormalities in chromosome 8 can lead to intellectual issues and slow development. Some kids have speech difficulties, weak immune systems, seizures, and mood swings. The expert urged them to get a full genome test, but the more he talked, the darker Felix and Carrie's faces got. In the end, the situation turned into a heated argument, attracting security's attention. Hearing all this, I felt lucky to have avoided it beforehand. Otherwise, it would have been more than just damage to my office. After all, last time it cost me my life and someone else's. That evening, my mom invited me home for dinner. Unsurprisingly, I ran into the couple at the dinner table. The atmosphere was tense. I was quietly eating when Felix spoke up. I want Carrie to have this baby no matter what. We're not doing any more of those expensive tests. Ugly or stupid, I'll accept it. It's my bloodline. If she's afraid of hardship, once Carrie has the baby, I'll divorce her, keep the child, and make sure she doesn't burden your family. Carrie panicked, grabbing Felix's hand and looking at him lovingly. Honey, what are you saying? I'll never divorce you. Feeling a bit nauseous, I couldn't help but gag. Under their intense stares, I calmly said, sorry, pregnancy hormones. The room went silent. My mom, realizing what I implied, joyfully rushed off to bring offerings to our ancestors. It left just the three of us at the table. Molly, you're pregnant too, so you should understand how I feel, Felix subtly threatened. I don't want to hear anything more about Carrie having an abortion. Carrie then chimed in, sourly saying, yes, sis, maybe your situation will turn out worse than mine. I couldn't understand why being pregnant seemed to bother these two. Besides, who said I'd interfere again? You both are the parents, and how you handle the child is up to you. I'm the aunt, I have no say in it. Whatever makes you happy. I mean, I'm curious to see how life goes for a pretty wife, an average husband, and a baby with bird-like syndrome. 3 months later, Carrie gave birth to a boy. Though full term, he was shockingly underweight, just 2,300 grams. His face was scrunched, lacking the cuteness of other babies, even a bit scary. Felix dismissed the concerns, blaming Carrie's severe pregnancy symptoms for the baby's size. To him, ugly isn't an issue because of his father filter. Problem was, Carrie wanted to breastfeed, but had no milk, so they switched to formula. Turns out, the baby was allergic to regular formula components and required a special costly one. Carrie hadn't worked in a while because of the pregnancy. Felix worked at a repair shop earning a modest salary, half of which went to formula. Forget about extra nutrients. Carrie wanted to leave the baby with my mom, to relieve her husband's burden by returning to work. But my mom refused. Carrie, your sister is also expecting, and without any in-laws to help, I'm busy looking after her. Leaving the child with my mom means saving expenses, but giving it to her mother-in-law would require living costs. Carrie wasn't dumb, knowing what choice to make. But my mom knew her well and didn't budge. Carrie, frustrated, confronted me. Molly, you're so selfish. You can afford a nanny. Why are you taking mom? With sunken eyes, she looked worn out. I sneered, I'm paying mom a salary. $8,000 a month. After I have my baby, it goes up to 10. If you can pay more, I'm sure mom would happily help you. Carrie turned red with anger. Though she was less financially stable than me, she was adept at guilt tripping. As an older sister, isn't it your duty to help me when you see me struggle? Why discuss money? I almost laughed. Firstly, your hardship is not my doing. Secondly, I earned my money through hard work, as did my husband. That's no excuse to guilt trip me. Lastly, I recall Felix saying if things got too tough, he'd divorce and take the child. You might want to think about it while the baby's still young. If you're already overwhelmed, how will you handle the future? Her composure shattered. She hurled every insult she could think of at me, even cursing my unborn child. Molly, you're so selfish. Your child will bring you nothing but trouble. While her insults towards me didn't matter, attacking my child was crossing the line. I slapped her hard, then had security escort her out. As she left, she kept cursing, but I was unfazed. For every insult, there's retaliation. Fair's fair. Without the chaotic duo harassing us this time around, my pregnancy went smoothly. A few months later, I gave birth to a chubby baby girl. My husband was thrilled, constantly eager to boast about her online. Amidst a sea of congratulations, one comment stood out. Carrie, what's the big deal about a daughter? Can't carry on the family name. My husband, as stubborn as they come, replied directly, the Qing dynasty ended long ago. Sons and daughters are the same now. Carrie, oh come on, a daughter will marry out eventually, while a son stays. How's that the same? My husband shot back. My daughter has the luxury of not needing to marry unless she wants to. Worst case, we get a son-in-law to move in. That's way better than someone's unwanted son with bird-like syndrome. Carrie, deeply offended, started ranting on social media. She and Felix hated any negative remarks about their son's looks. After we parted badly last time, Carrie had her mother-in-law look after the baby. But now her mother-in-law demands more living expenses. Their financial situation is tough. Carrie and Felix can't stand when people say their son Mike looks ugly and slow. Mike, unfortunately like his mom, has bird-like syndrome and grows slower than his peers. He rarely reacts, even when people try to interact with him. Carrie's household faced constant rumors, making the pair defensive, snapping at anyone who spoke about their son. When my husband hit a nerve, my mom's phone lit up with Felix's furious complaints. My mom, hanging up after the call, scolded my husband. Why provoke them? They aren't stable. Shouldn't you be more cautious? My husband sheepishly apologized. Sorry, Mom. I'll be more careful next time. Our daughter's first month celebration was grand. Though my in-laws had passed, the rest of the family showered her with gold jewelry. My mom couldn't stop smiling. Our little one is such a blessing, like a little lucky charm. Despite the joyful moment, Carrie couldn't help but undermine it. No matter how precious, she's still just a girl. My husband snapped back, unfazed, better than a cursed son, dragging everyone down. Others will envy us, not pity us. My husband knew his way around an argument. Hearing this, Felix, who had been ignoring his wife's provocations, couldn't stay quiet. He kicked over a chair, rushing with a bottle towards my husband. Say that again, I dare you. In my own place, someone thought they could start something? I took Felix down with a swift throw, leaving him disoriented. Did they forget I'm a black belt in Taekwondo? If not for my pregnancy and a surprise leg cramp, I wouldn't have let this fool cause me problems last time. Knowing them well, they were the type to bully the weak, but cower before the strong. After a good thrashing, they were quiet, ignoring Carrie's murderous glares. Midway through the party, Carrie's mother-in-law burst in with Mike. Something's wrong with the baby. The child, bright red, was seizing with foam at his mouth. My heart dropped. It was epilepsy. With frequent fevers and occasional seizures, Mike scared his grandmother enough that she refused to care for him any longer. Carrie then turned to my mom for help, who again refused. Carrie tried finding us at my workplace, now stationed in another city, but came up empty. My husband promoted there too, and my mom moved with us. Unable to locate us, Carrie and Felix resorted to bombarding my mom with calls. My mom eventually softened and answered. Carrie cried over the phone, pleading, Mom, if you don't help, they'll drive me to death. Seeing my mom about to give in, I quickly snatched the phone. Carrie, every decision was yours. Don't put your suffering on others. Mom deserves a better life, and staying with us with steadier finances can better her health than serving you endlessly. Carrie, exasperated, replied, Molly, spare me the high and mighty talk. Aren't you also making Mom help with your child? My daughter is much easier to manage. Molly, you're so selfish. A cold-hearted doctor lacking basic ethics. Every time I pointed out her flaws, she reacted like a provoked cat. I put her on speaker for my mom to hear her tirade. This time, even my mom had enough. Carrie, how can you speak to your sister that way? Carrie, reckless in her rage, even insulted my mom, insinuating, when Molly ditches you after using you up, don't expect me to take you in. Carrie's words hurt my mom greatly. Why favor a stranger over my own daughter? Her words stunned us all into silence. Seeing she had slipped up, my mom decided to reveal everything. Turns out, my mom had rescued Carrie as a baby from being abandoned due to her bird-like syndrome. Even though she looked more normal than her son, her biological parents still left her behind. Out of compassion, my mom raised her, treating her as her own, equally with me all these years. Maybe she really did inherit the stupid and ruthless genes from her biological parents, huh? A total ungrateful brat. All these years, she only knew how to take, never to give back. So, no way I'm helping you. Raising you this long, I've done more than enough. I don't care. You picked me up, so you need to be responsible for me. Seeing Carrie still not getting it, my mom angrily hung up the phone. I held her shoulders, softly comforting her for a while, before she finally calmed down. Honestly, I always had doubts about Carrie's background. If she were my real sister, how come she has facial dysmorphia syndrome, but I don't? Plus, there's no history of this in our family. But mom always kept her lips sealed, so I never dug too deep. Turns out I was right. Like father, like son. A dragon begets a dragon, a phoenix begets a phoenix, and a rat's child knows how to dig. The power of inheritance is strong. Fast forward, 3 years have passed, and my daughter is now in preschool. Relatives said Carrie and Felix aren't doing well. As Mike gets older, things seem more off. He's often sick, still can't speak, and has a violent streak. Coupled with his looks, he's been discriminated against, fueling his violent nature further. You can't leave a child like this alone. Carrie never went to work. She's always home with him. Felix bears the entire burden of supporting the family, running around like a headless chicken. Even then, they live beyond their means. Recently, Mike had a fight with another kid and pushed him hard. The kid hit his head and is still in ICU, hovering between life and death. That family has some clout and is squeezing them tight. They even sold their house to pay up, yet it wasn't enough. They threatened to take their son's life. Terrified, Carrie and Felix fled with Mike to another city overnight. After hearing this, I couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu, just like I anticipated. But I can't sympathize with them. In a past life, I foresaw their future and did everything to prevent Mike's birth. In the end, it not only didn't earn me their gratitude, but also cost me and my daughter our lives. This time around, they got what they wanted. The child is already here. You can't just snap your fingers and change it, can you? Let them deal with it. I never expected to bump into them the day after hearing that gossip, while at the hospital. As Carrie brushed past me with her son, I didn't recognize her at first. But she recognized me instantly. Molly, so you work here. Mike's having an episode again, and I can't get an appointment with a specialist. Aren't you a doctor here? Get me an appointment. I stared at her for a long time before I could connect her to the Carrie in my memory. Before she married Felix, Carrie wasn't pretty, but she made an effort. Loved dressing up, buying clothes, skincare. With a bit of makeup, she could pull off a solid 5 out of 10. But after marrying Felix, she stopped wearing makeup, stopped buying clothes. Always said it was for her husband's sake. Makeup's bad for the skin. Clothes are a waste of money, he'd say. As days went by, she looked more and more plain, more and more unkempt. Now she has gray hairs, wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, dull skin, and a lifeless complexion. Combined with her facial structure, the effect is dramatic. She's only 30, yet looks older than my mom. I genuinely thought some grandma was bringing her grandson in. Looking at her pleading eyes, I just asked coolly, "Where's Felix?" Carrie paused, holding her breath. "He's busy making money." I smirked. "So, every time the kid's sick, it's you bringing him in?" Silence. "Are you the one even paying for his medical bills?" Back when Carrie married Felix, they were already neck-deep in debt. Felix's dad wasn't well either, sabotaging his own health. Every year, he ends up in the hospital for liver issues. All the medical expenses fall on Felix. He'd even go into debt for them. Carrie married into that family just to help with paying off debts. She even paid for her pregnancy costs herself, likely surviving these years with her savings and the dowry from mom. Her silence gave me all the confirmation I needed. I was speechless. Being Felix seems like a real good deal. No help from parents. No problem, just have your wife take over. He could father 10 kids. And he'd still have them all born without lifting a finger for them. Carrie turned beet red, still defending Felix. You don't understand. He's not had it easy, burdened by his parents' debts. I have some savings. Helping out is normal in a marriage. Why keep score? Oh, a hopeless romantic, I see. I ignored her and tried to walk away, but she blocked my path, clearly insisting I help her get that appointment. I chuckled coldly. You want to feel what it's like to get tossed out by security? That same afternoon, her husband showed up. While I was attending to patients, Felix came in swinging a wrench straight onto my desk, scaring them away. I crossed my arms, leisurely watching his tantrum. You upset my wife. Do you know how much she cried afterward? I shot back. And you just assume it's because of me? Maybe she's crying over her miserable life and useless husband. Gut punch. Felix, in a rage, charged at me with the wrench. Knowing he wouldn't win, I give him a swift kick. Felix landed face first, teeth biting the wrench, filling his mouth with blood. Security quickly restrained him. Watching him flail around like a turtle, I couldn't help but smirk. Kinda funny, really. Let's hand him over to the police. Hearing this, Felix started barking again. Molly, what do you mean by that? What's gonna happen to your sister and your nephew if I get locked up? I waved him off. She's not even my real sister. Honestly, did she not tell you this? Felix stood there stunned until security hauled him off to the station. They detained him for starting trouble. He wasn't having it. He pointed at his broken teeth and dried blood, yelling to the cops. What about her? She beat me up like this. The officer kept a straight face. That's called self-defense. Carrie finally showed up with Mike in tow. She saw Felix was hurt and immediately started fussing over him. My husband arrived at the same time. He has a knack for sarcasm. Well, look who it is. My sister-in-law and her hubby, who finally had a big boy. Oh man, brother-in-law, who did a number on you. Felix glared at me, seething. Your perfect wife did this. My husband turned to me, looking all serious. You messed up, babe. Felix's eyes lit up, thinking my husband would back him up. He went on embellishing his story of what I'd done to him and Carrie, adding at the end, you gotta put her in her place. A woman shouldn't be in charge. Doesn't everybody know you should keep her in line? He looked at me, smug as if he knew my husband would set me straight. Ha! I couldn't help but laugh at his delusional statements and unwarranted confidence. My husband was just as confused. Who said I'm gonna hit her? Felix's smile faded. I only said she handled it wrong. Honestly, she didn't have to lift a finger. That's what I'm here for. My husband knows just how to get under someone's skin. Felix was at a loss for words. Carrie glared daggers at me. Did you really have to make such a big scene? Make what a scene? By your logic, when your husband barges into the clinic acting crazy, I should sit quietly, let him beat me, and ask if he hurt his hand in the process? You think your shit is gold. And when someone steps in it, it's their fault? My husband chimed in. Exactly. If you know he's a lunatic, keep him leashed up so he doesn't go biting people. Rabies shots ain't fun, and I'm not putting my wife through that. Carrie's look was pure spite. All right, Molly, if you're bringing the drama, then I'm game. You'll live to regret it. They say birds of a feather flock together. Felix and Carrie really are a match made in heaven. Seeing that I wouldn't budge, she took her sob story online. During my pregnancy, the tests showed the baby might have issues. My sister, who's a doctor, said it was nothing serious. So I had the baby, but he was born with bird face syndrome, grew slowly, had weak immunity, was always sick, and not quite bright. I forced my sister for answers, but she bailed with my mom. We never considered abandoning our child. We've sold everything, even our house, for his treatments. Recently, my husband confronted my sister, and she had him thrown in jail. She's trying to ruin us. With some help from clickbait pages, her pity plea blew up. People were outraged, all rallying against the selfish sister she painted me as. Some users pieced together info and found my social media, posting it for all to see. My comment section was overrun. Why didn't you tell your sister to end the pregnancy when you knew about the issues? You happy seeing her suffer? Bird face syndrome is contagious, right? Even if they weren't family, shouldn't you have warned them? Look how she's in designer clothes, flaunting kids in high tea, while her sister's crushed by life's burdens. Not lending a hand is bad enough. Why push her further down? How could a cold-hearted person like her be a doctor? People flooded the hospital's page, demanding they fire me. I was in the middle of a critical career evaluation. It turned into a whole thing online, and my boss subtly told me to take a break. A break really means suspended. Carrie got wind of things and somehow found my address, showing up with her kid. She had a smug grin plastered on her face. Write an apology for my husband, get him a high-paying job, settle up the case with the kid Mike hurt, and then support us. Maybe then I'll go online and say you're sorry. Otherwise, you might get pelted with rotten eggs out in public. Mom was about ready to chase her out with a broom. Wished I'd left you out on the street instead of bringing you in. Carrie couldn't care less. Hindsight's 2020. Too bad there isn't a do-over, huh? Uffed. Last life. I suggested an abortion. Her husband freaked out, costing me my life and that of my unborn child. This time, I let her have the kid, and now she's losing it again, ruining my reputation. How's everything my fault? What, she wants to pin every disaster on me. All hope about her was lost. I let my mom shoo them away. She hurled curses at us even as they left. That night, I released everything I had online. All the evidence, including the video from today's visit. Knowing her too well, any interaction with those two was recorded since day one of this new life. The hospital incidents were caught on surveillance too. Once everything was online, public opinion quickly flipped. I thought those two were clueless, but they knew it all along. Yet they still tried to dump the blame on the doctor's sister? Even pitiful for that poor doc who told the truth, but got accused of cursing the kid's future. They made me realize how ignorant people can be. Isn't it her husband who's having the baby? And she said whether it's a weirdo or a fool, she would accept it. So shouldn't the father take responsibility for the child? You didn't catch it, did you? This woman is a pure love warrior. From pregnancy to raising the child, the woman paid for everything. The husband just provided the seed. So the fuss is just because the sister is well off, and they want to leech off her? Ridiculous. The husband's not dead. Why should the sister be the sucker? Jealous because the sister's family is rich, harmonious, and has a healthy daughter. I have to say, the netizens have figured it out. Originally, netizens felt sorry for Carrie, and even donated to her. Once I revealed the truth, netizens were shocked for being tricked, and started demanding Carrie return the money. Carrie didn't get to enjoy the good days for long, and returned to her previous struggles. Not only that, but she also got dubbed as the new pure love warrior. She suddenly disappeared from the internet and my life. I quickly got my promotion, and my husband got a raise too. Everything seemed to be getting better, but I didn't expect Carrie to shift her focus from me to my daughter. She somehow got a job at my daughter's kindergarten as a janitor. She came with a utility knife and kidnapped my daughter, asking specifically to see me. When I saw the knife cut my daughter's delicate skin, my heart shattered. Carrie, if you have a problem, come after me, not my child. Carrie's face twisted, laughing maniacally. Why is your daughter lively and healthy, while my son looks like that? Molly, it's your fault for not urging me to abort him. Why did you send my husband to jail? Why, when things just started looking up for me, did you expose me? If you won't let me enjoy my life, then you won't get to either. I trembled, trying to calm her. Carrie, murder carries a prison sentence. If you go to prison, what about your son? Hearing Mike's name, Carrie didn't blink. His seizures are getting more frequent. The doctor says he's in pain. If everyone's suffering, let's go together. A dreadful premonition surged in my heart. My daughter cried out for mommy. The more she cried, the more it hurt me. But I dared not move forward. I wasn't quick enough to save my daughter before Carrie moved the knife. Mama. A faint voice snapped Carrie back to her senses. It was Mike. My husband was holding a pale Mike who stuttered, Mama. Carrie froze. I seized the moment to grab the knife from her hand. Security pinned her to the ground. She looked toward Mike, muttering, Baby can say Mama. Baby can say Mama. But before she could delight in it, Mike vomited a mouthful of blood. Baby! She wanted to hold Mike, but the police pulled her toward the squad car. She struggled in vain, watching him grow farther away. I never imagined Carrie was so ruthless, putting rat poison in her son's porridge. Since medical help came quickly, Mike's life was saved. My mom took pity on him and sent him back to his grandparents. I heard Mike often had seizures and had a violent temper, taking it out on his grandparents. When Felix was released, he took Mike with him. What happened after was their business. My daughter was traumatized by the kidnapping, so I spent more time with her. Thankfully, she worked hard and always came first in exams. Just before she started middle school, we heard from the prison that Carrie committed suicide. She did it after hearing about Felix and Mike's deaths. After taking Mike away, Felix and Mike shared a loving father-son life for a while. That ended as Mike's seizures worsened and their savings dried up. Needing constant care, Felix couldn't work. Both grandparents were too scared to handle him. The pressure got to Felix, and he started drinking heavily. Drunk, he'd beat Mike. Sober, he'd hold him and apologize profusely. They tormented each other for years. Mike grew more volatile. Finally, after another drunken outburst, Mike pushed Felix down the stairs. The force took Mike down too. Father and son both died. When news of their deaths reached us, my mom shed tears, but I felt nothing. How Felix died mirrored my past life perfectly. What goes around comes around. Carrie demanded to see me as soon as she was revived. When she saw me, her hateful eyes bore into mine. "Molly, why didn't you help me abort Mike?" This didn't sound like the Carrie from this life. Her next words confirmed my suspicion. "Did you know without Mike, I would have had a pair of smart and adorable twin sons later on? They were hardworking and filial, and I had a good life." She'd reincarnated too. So where was I then? Carrie prattled on about her past perfect life, halted by my question. "What do you mean? When you were living well, where was I, your sucker sister?" Carrie's gaze faltered, the hatred replaced by unease and panic. "I have no idea where you were." Even facing vastly different circumstances, she hadn't realized I reincarnated too, and still tried to hide everything from our past. Not sure whether to call her dumb or cunning. "Let me tell you. I died, killed by your husband's hand. All because I assisted you with the abortion." Carrie's tense expression shattered, anger and madness resurfacing in her gaze. "No wonder, you reincarnated too." "Carrie, seeing me now, are you satisfied?" I shook my head. "In my past life, I went all out to pull you guys out of the mess. But you blamed me, causing me to end up dead with a child. In this life, I respected your choices and stayed away from all the drama. Didn't expect you'd still lead a bad life, and put all the blame on me again. People can't have it all, right? I merely let you take the path you longed for in the past life. How you live is your choice. It has nothing to do with me." As I was leaving, Carrie's voice, laughing and crying, came from behind me. She cursed at me, and then my mom, blaming my mom for not letting her die as a baby. How much better it would have been. She could have avoided a life of suffering. What a twist of fate. God allowed her to be reborn with memories from her past life, when everything was already set. Not sure if it's Carrie's opportunity, or her punishment. After all, nothing's more painful than losing something after having it. That night I had a dream. In the past life, after my death, there was no surveillance, so they couldn't find the culprit. And with Carrie, my so-called sister, testifying that I fell accidentally, Felix got off scot-free. Just like she said, she really did have a pair of talented twins, and lived a happy life. On the flip side, my husband, devastated by my death, lost his job and wandered around in a daze, eventually becoming mentally ill and homeless. One day while wandering, he met Carrie's family. She didn't recognize him, even pulled her kids away from him in disgust. He froze to death one snowy night. Carrie never thought of my mom after living well. My mom, having lost her biological daughter, and abandoned by her adoptive one, ended up lonely in her old age. Waking up, tears had already filled my eyes. I couldn't help but touch my husband's face. The warmth told me it wasn't a dream, and his snoring reminded me that I didn't live through any of it. Thank goodness. Later, I heard Carrie got out of prison but disappeared. After that incident, I enrolled my daughter in self-defense classes, and she got pretty good over the years. One day she came home from school, saying a crazy woman tried to grab her, and she handled it. Something tells me it was Carrie. Never expected her to be so stubborn. Before I could even act, my daughter came back and told me the crazy lady got picked up by a van with no plates, suspiciously driven into an alley. Looks like someone took Carrie. She's trouble. I'm not planning to save her. After graduating college, my daughter became a doctor. She uses Carrie's story to advise mothers whose fetuses have issues to make tough decisions, arguing for quality births. It's a tough field, but she's stuck with it. My husband and I took my mom traveling whenever we got the chance. One day, passing through a village, we saw a woman being beaten. My mom couldn't stand it and wanted to help. The woman seemed to know us, desperately trying to crawl toward us. But I led my mom away, not looking back. Some people aren't worth saving. Her pleas faded as we continued on our long journey, not stopping for those who don't deserve it. The end.